Hey, what the hell is happening to you and your face? Look at what you looks like you just got off of a bus with your face. Nice hair, right? I seriously, I don't know what I have no idea what to do with this. I actually walk around in public like this. Other people on the street see me with this on my head. Normally they go, "What the fuck is that?" And they give me money so I can get a haircut or do something. Here, buy some product. Do something. I was in the Walgreens just the other day picking up some vitamins, and someone went, "Hey," and saw me and grabbed me and pulled me across the store and threw me in front of the shampoo section and said, "Learn, dipshit." I don't know what to... See? Hi. My name is Nick. I have a YouTube channel, and that's what you're looking at here. It's free. Subscribe, like, learn, all that shit. Like 140 videos here. Scroll down, movie reviews, stories, music talk, all kinds of fun stuff. Patreon.com, that's the place to go, where you donate some money a month. $3 a month. And it helps. It helps me keep all the stories going, the videos going. You get bonus content, behind-the-scenes stories of what really happened at WGN. But you go to patreon.com/NickDShow. Go right now. And donate. Give a little dough. Helps keep things going. Helps keep people going. There are a lot of artists and musicians and storytellers and comedians and all kinds of really cool people providing you entertainment at Patreon. But if you give bonus, it helps people go. And you know how you watch PBS? You know you do. You watch PBS. You watch that show where the guy goes, "Here's your family tree, Pamela Adlon," and then you don't donate. You watch, for years, you watched Mr. Rogers, and you watched Sesame Street, and you watched Python, and you didn't give any money. That's a dick move. That's what Patreon is about. Make up for it. Go to patreon.com/NickDShow. Donate now. You get bonus material like you used to get a tote bag from Channel 11. Well, you get bonus videos from me if you donate like a good person. Patreon.com/NickDShow. Donate today. My podcast is the Nick D Podcast, Radio Misfits Podcast Network, the greatest podcast network ever. New episodes every Tuesday and Friday. Tomorrow is Tuesday. That means a new episode. You know who's on the new episode tomorrow? Suzanne Vega. Yeah, that's right. One of the greatest singer-songwriters ever. One of my favorite humans in the world. I love her more than life itself. And she's on the podcast tomorrow. Suzanne Vega, episode 37. If you're watching this later, after it goes to the internet, check it out. Subscribe. Subscribe to the podcast. It's free. Episode 37, Suzanne Vega. All right, Saturday Night Live. If you know me at all, you know that I am obsessed with Saturday Night Live. I love Saturday Night Live. Anybody who ever uses the old tired, "It hasn't been funny in years," and "Remember in the 70s when it was funny?" Fuck you. You don't know what you're talking about. You're a moron. And anybody who says it hasn't been funny in years and, you know, the first cast is still the best cast. No, it's not. You're wrong. You're a moron. SNL is a comedy institution. It's one of the greatest things that's ever happened to television and comedy in general. I have watched it since the first episode in 1975. George Carlin was the first host, and I've watched every single episode, either via videotape or watched it live. I've never not seen an episode of Saturday Night Live. During the good years, the bad years, and all that, and everything in between. Right now, it's in a good place. This last season just ended. And I watched every single episode of the 47th season, and it was a good episode, or a good season. Not a great season, but a good season. There were some really terrific episodes, some not so terrific episodes, and one or two real stinkers with hosts that didn't do very well. And sometimes the musical guests, especially the ones that I don't know, that are for the younger generation, I don't get it, I don't know it, therefore, fuck it. Sorry. But anyway, this past Saturday was the last episode of season 47. Your host was the fantastic Natasha Lyonne, who did a wonderful job. It was not a great episode. It was not a great episode. She did great. Her monologue was terrific. They had her play a guy with a mustache in the same wig in two separate sketches, one of which she had two lines and then pretended to be dead while they tickled her and carried her around the stage. I actually laughed at a couple of those things. there were a few good things in the episode. But the reason I'm cutting this video is because I thought it was a solid season, and I really think the cast is pretty strong. It's a big cast. This past season was a big cast. Like 22 cast members. This was their very last episode. And I want to talk about the 4 people that are leaving the cast to not return for season 48. There are also rumors that a couple of other people might not return. But officially announced, it is official, 4 cast members, that was their last show Saturday night. And those 4 cast members are Aidy Bryant, Pete Davidson, Kyle Mooney, and Kate McKinnon. Those 4 cast members are definitely gone and they're not coming back. Now, the other 3 that are kind of up in the air, and a couple of them have been up in the air for a couple of years now, are Keenan Thompson, who has the longest run of any cast member ever, the longest tenure in the history of Saturday Night Live, been on the show for 20 years, and he's been on the show forever. And every year, everybody thinks Keenan's going to leave. We thought he was going to leave last season because he's got the sitcom, which, by the way, has been canceled. Keenan was his sitcom, and everybody thought he was going to leave. He didn't. And again, I do want to mention this, that over the years, Lorne Michaels has been much more flexible in allowing cast members to remain on the show but still do outside work. A lot of cast members left for a while and came back, and he was never like that before. Like back in the day, if you weren't there for every episode of Saturday Night Live, Lorne would can your ass. But now he gives a lot of people freedom to go make movies, to do other streaming series, and things like that. So Keenan was not there for every episode the season before, but there's rumors that he won't be coming back next season. There's also rumors that Michael Che won't be coming back. And I really think he's going to be gone. This one I think is going to be official. I think there's going to be an announcement during the summer that Michael Che is not going to come back. He's the co-head writer and obviously the co-anchor on Weekend Update. He's been frustrated, and you can tell. He's kind of bored with it all. You can tell. And I think he's going to be gone. And then the other one is Melissa Viasenor, who was really underutilized for the first half of this past season. And then when that became like a thing on the social media and she agreed with it, suddenly she was appearing in 4 or 5 sketches a week for the second half, or at least the last third of the season. So there's a chance that Melissa Viasenor will also leave. But again, the official ones are Aidy Bryant, Pete Davidson, Kyle Mooney, and Kate McKinnon. And the other cast members that are part of the show are Mikey Day, Chloe Feynman, Heidi Gardner, Colin Jost, Alex Moffat, Ego Wodum, Chris Redd, Cecily Strong, and Bowen Yang. And your featured players are Aristotle Atari, Andrew Dismukes, James Austin Johnson, Punky Johnson, and Sarah Sherman. So that's your cast. That's a big cast. So these 4 that are leaving, maybe you shouldn't replace them, Lauren, because it's a big cast and it'll give other people a little more chance to shine and to make more appearances on the show. When you have a cast of like 20 or 22, and they have in the past, I mean, in the 90s, like around the Farley, David Spade, Adam Sandler era, there were like 25 people vying for position on the show, and there were way too many people. So knock the cast down a little bit, maybe not hire anybody. But if Che leaves, then, and I would assume that Jost is still going to, anchor Weekend Update, you're going to need a co-anchor for Weekend Update. So maybe promote somebody. Cecily Strong used to do Weekend Update, and she did a great job. So maybe put Cecily Strong back in that area. Let her do it. But maybe they'll hire somebody new. They're going to need some new writers. I think in the off season, they will hire a few new writers that don't necessarily have to be on screen. Here's what you do need to get rid of. You need to get rid of those fucking Please Don't Destroy jagoffs who make those "we want to be Lonely Island, but we are not Lonely Island" videos that are awful. These 3 jagoffs who are writers on SNL now, and they're doing what is just a carbon copy of a Sanskrit version of what Andy Samberg and the Lonely Island guys used to do. They're not funny. The Please Don't Destroy videos are the same. They make themselves look like fools, and they up the ante with every joke. It's more outrageous and more surreal. It's the same goddamn video over and over and over again. I have not laughed one time at any of the Please Don't Destroy videos, these three jagoffs who so wish they were Lonely Island. They're not. You're not. You'll never be Lonely Island. You suck. If you're watching this, your little Please Don't Destroy guys, please do everyone on earth a favor and don't make any more fucking videos. You're not funny, they aren't funny, and you'll never, ever, ever be as good as Lonely Island. So stop that. And Lauren, please, I will somehow get this video to you. Please, listen to it. I've been watching the show for as long as you've been doing it. I've been watching it when you weren't a part of the show. I was still watching it. The Lonely Island wannabe, Please Don't Destroy guys, get fucking rid of them. Now. Okay, the 4 people that are leaving. Who am I going to miss? Well, I'm fine with all 4 of them leaving, quite frankly. I think it's time that Kate McKinnon left. Yes, I'm going to say it. She's been coasting for a few years now. She's been coasting. When she first came on the show back in 2012, when she came on the show, started as a feature player, she made a huge impression and did great work and great character work. Last few years, and she took some time off to make movies and to do other stuff, and so she wasn't there all the time. Last few years, she's been fucking coasting big time, doing a lot of mugging and eyes and laughing and breaking and looking at the camera and doing shit that is unnecessary. She clearly was like, hey, I'm Kate McKinnon. People think I'm funny because I do wacky shit, and I'm going to mug and bug out my eyes and do wacky shit even when it's not necessary. Kate McKinnon, it's time that she left, and I'm sorry. It's true, let's face it. Her expiration date was up a few seasons ago, okay? Now, her imitations have been stronger than the characters that she's been doing recently. Her Rudy Giuliani is very funny. Her Fauci was very funny. And basically, her imitations became, as she stopped doing characters, really, her imitations became what she was best known for. Or she would do quirky characters that were the same, with eyes bugging out and mugging at the camera. So I'm fine with Kate McKinnon leaving. But Kate McKinnon, for a while, was at a specific time, she was the best female cast member on the show. And I think historically is going to go down as one of the best female cast members in the history of SNL, despite the fact that she stayed about 3 seasons too long. They did a big Colleen Rafferty send-off. That was the final sketch that she did. Colleen Rafferty is it's the 3 people that are being interviewed by the government about alien abduction, and she does the way she smokes a cigarette and talks about how the aliens slap her boobs around and do all kinds of experiments to her. Not a particularly funny sketch, I don't think. I think she's funny on it, but the reason why it was so funny the first time they did it is because Ryan Gosling laughed his ass off during the whole thing, broke Aidy Bryant, who breaks all the time. I'll get to her in a minute, and broke Bobby Moynihan, which is not an easy thing to do because Moynihan is one of the best SNL cast members ever in the history of the show and never broke. And broke Cecily Strong, who also never breaks. So it was one of those things where the host, Ryan Gosling, who's an easy laugh. If you go back and watch Ryan Gosling hosting SNL, he breaks all the time. It's one of the charms of having Gosling host because he's having a great time. And I love that. A lot of people are like, I don't think it's very funny, but it's genuine. The dude's having a great time. He thinks everybody he's working with on stage is funny, and he's going to laugh. I love Ryan Gosling. I love it when he breaks, and that's the only reason why that sketch took off the way it did, was because Gosling broke, causing everybody else to break, and that made Kate McKinnon push it even further. And the first sketch that they did with Colleen Rafferty and the alien abduction was hilarious, mostly because of Gosling breaking and everybody else breaking on stage, and Kate McKinnon leaning into that. They did it a few more times. Fine. It wasn't hilarious. I don't think it's one of the most memorable characters of all time that Kate McKinnon has ever done or in the history of SNL. But that's the one they sent her out on. Okay, that's the big thing. Personally, I think the best character that Kate McKinnon ever did was Olia Povlatsky, who was the poor woman who would come on Weekend Update and plead with people to help her out with kind of an unidentified accent. That, I think, is the funniest thing she's ever done on the show. Olia Povlatsky is the funniest thing she ever did on the show, and her appearances as that character on Weekend Update were great. I also love Barbara DeDrew, who is the cat lady who is part of Whiskers for Us. And she had these, they would work with real cats. And that's, I think, my second favorite Kate McKinnon character. A lot of the other characters that she did were very similar. They were really weird. Her imitations were the strong stuff. Her Hillary was great. Rudy Giuliani, as I mentioned, was great. Her Fauci was great. Her Penelope Cruz is fantastic. That's the first thing she ever did on the show, was her Penelope Cruz. That was her first appearance on the show. And it was with, what's her name from Modern Family? I can't remember her name, with the heavy accent. I can't remember her name. But anyway, with the boobs and the heavy accent. Anyway, she played Penelope Cruz on that sketch. It was great. Her Justin Bieber, hilarious. Her Ellen, hilarious. Her Jodie Foster is great. Shakira was funny. Her Jane Lynch was really good. Her Ginsburg, man. I mean, come on. Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Her Ruth Bader Ginsburg was hilarious. Her Laura Ingraham was good. And her Kellyanne Conway. Kellyanne Conway was one of my favorite things that she ever did on the show. And it was great. So I always thought that her imitations or her interpretations of real people were funnier than the characters that she did. But at a certain time, for a stretch, brilliant work, consistently hilarious, consistently creative, consistently funny. I loved her in movies. I love her in the Ghostbusters movie, by the way. The female reboot of the Ghostbusters with her and Kristen Wiig and Miss Melissa McCarthy and Leslie Jones. Funnier than the original Ghostbusters from 1984. Fuck you, the female reboot is the best Ghostbusters movie ever made. And if you disagree with me, wrong. But anyway, she did a great run on, Kate McKinnon had a great run on SNL. It was time for her to go. Kyle Mooney, never liked him, never thought he was funny. I think I laughed at him twice. All of his characters were always like dorky guys who got fucked over, like girlfriends cheated on him. There was always uncomfortable stuff that his characters would have that would be misinterpreted by other people. His Bruce Chandler, the stand-up comedian, again, his jokes didn't land. That was the whole thing about Kyle. Kyle Mooney did the same thing in every sketch. He was the character who was the dork, the outsider. He was made fun of. He was oblivious to how stupid he was and how dorky he was. It was the same bit over and over and over and over and over again. I think I've laughed at him once or twice, maybe a few other times. But his Baby Yoda, not funny. So many of his appearances on Weekend Update, I thought, bombed. And his characters were exactly the same. Yeah. And the stuff that he did with Beck Bennett, because Beck Bennett left the year before, they did a lot of stuff together where they played the same kind of dorky stuff. Surreal pushing videos with these two dorks playing dorks. Beck Bennett, Kyle Mooney. Kyle Mooney gone, good riddance. Never thought he was funny. He was on from 2013 to this past season. Pete Davidson was his final show. I'm mixed on Pete Davidson. I'm actually glad he's gone too. I'm fine to see him go because when he first came on, I really thought he was funny. Not necessarily the strongest character work. He doesn't do a lot of great imitations, even though they had him do a lot of imitations, because he did Russell Brand, he did Andrew Cuomo, he did Rami Malek. He did a good Rami Malek. He did Aaron Rodgers, Adam Sandler, Steve Buscemi, Post Malone, Machine Gun Kelly, Hunter Biden, Jared Kushner. Jared Kushner was funny, and Joe Rogan. But what he was best known for was the stuff that he would do on Weekend Update. And his character Chad. Okay, like the pool boy, the dipshit guy that would go, cool, okay. And in a series of videos where he played Chad. That character was funny. Those videos were all hilarious. His Weekend Update stuff was the best stuff that he did. When he would come on as Pete Davidson and talk about his mental health and talk about the issues that he had in his real life, living with his mom, and basically doing monologues about him. And I thought those were always great. They were always knocked out of the park. Character work, sketch work, imitations, not so much, okay? And then it got to the point where the past couple of seasons where he clearly didn't give a shit. And this last season, it became about his celebrity more than doing good work on SNL. It became about who was he banging. Oh, he's with Kim Kardashian. Oh, he was with Ariana Grande. Blah, 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 blah. And it got real tiresome. It became about, his celebrity and his sort of tabloid life, and he clearly didn't give a shit. He did a sketch earlier this season that was a cake baking TV show where he didn't care. He wasn't even in costume. He didn't pretend to be another character. He was Pete Davidson breaking at other people's jokes and shoving as much cake into his mouth, which clearly was not supposed to be the case. He did it on live TV. He ate a whole piece of cake because he thought it would be funny, and he didn't give a shit about selling the sketch or doing the jokes. And that's what it got. The last season especially, Pete Davidson just showed up to show up. He would do the videos, the music videos, and do that kind of shit and show up to do that. But his sketch work was abysmal in the last couple of seasons. And overall, in general, I think Pete Davidson's a funny guy. I think he's an interesting guy. I liked him in The King of Staten Island, and I think he's got a future. But this whole Kim Kardashian, let's care more about his tabloid life than doing real comedy work, it overshadowed everything, and as a result, his last couple of seasons have been pretty shitty, except for his Weekend Update stuff. So I still back Pete Davidson and his Weekend Update stuff. The Dan Crenshaw stuff, by the way, where he made fun of the Republican with the eye patch, that whole thing was handled beautifully when they brought Dan Crenshaw in to make fun of Pete Davidson, all that stuff. He handled everything. Here's the deal. The stuff that he didn't do on Weekend Update, not good. Like the sketches and the characters and the imitations, not good. Some of the videos that he did, hilarious. The Chad stuff, great. But the strongest stuff that Pete Davidson did was being Pete Davidson, sharing his mental problems. And the guy's got some mental health issues. He's on medication. His father died during 9/11, during the attacks of 9/11. He was a firefighter, and he died on 9/11. He's used that as material, and that's been stuff that he's been using comedy for therapy, and that stuff that he did as himself on Weekend Update was brilliant. So I back Pete Davidson, but again, time for him to go. So Pete Davidson, Kyle Mooney, Kate McKinnon, and then Aidy Bryant. Never found her funny. Don't think she's funny. I know she went to Columbia. She's got a lot of Chicago ties. I don't like Shrill, her TV show. Aidy Bryant, my opinion, not funny. Never has been funny in anything she's ever done. Never once. Maybe I've laughed at her in a couple of things. I've seen her in movies here and there that maybe made me smile. But on SNL, no. She's one note. She's forced. Not funny. The only thing that I found remotely amusing was her Ted Cruz. That's the only time. And that's only been like the past season and a half or so where she's played Ted Cruz. That's the only time I've ever went, okay, that's pretty funny. And I don't know how much of that is the beard and the wig. I don't know. But she played Tonker Bell was one of her recurring characters. Morgan was a teenage girl, and then she would play another character, a teenage boy character. She and Kate McKinnon worked together a lot. And Kate McKinnon, again, the last couple of seasons, she'd work with Aidy Bryant, who's not funny, and they would make each other break because Kate McKinnon didn't give a shit and, again, was mugging and coasting the last few seasons. So putting her and Aidy Bryant together, nightmare. And then you had her Ted Cruz. She did Sarah Huckabee. She did Elton John, Adele, other stuff. I don't think Aidy Bryant is funny. Good riddance. She was on the show for a long time, too. She was on from 2014 to 2022. So the tenure was Aidy Bryant 2014 to 22. Pete Davidson 2014 to 2022. Aidy Bryant 2012 to 22. 13 to 22 for Mooney, and 12 to 22 for Kate McKinnon. So there you go. Now, as far as this season goes, so Aidy Bryant, Pete Davidson, Kyle Mooney, Kate McKinnon, good. Bye. See you later. Bye. A couple of the people aren't funny. A couple of them I won't miss. Some of the people that stood out this season, really quickly, and because these people left, I hope there's more room for Chloe Feynman, who really had a stellar season, proving herself not to be only really funny and really creative, a terrific writer, but an incredible impressionist. Her impressions, Chloe Feynman, her impressions, and they did a video short two episodes ago about Chloe Feynman and her unbelievable impressions. She's great. I want to see more of Chloe Feynman. Heidi Gardner has been a highlight since the moment she came on that show. She continues to be great. She does, she doesn't really do great impressions. She's done a few here and there. But her strength is characters, stuff that she's developed, stuff that she's done. She's great. Her characters are varied. She does great comic. I think Heidi Gardner right now, strongest woman on in the cast, without question. In a cast full of strong women, Heidi Gardner, great character comedy, great work, cares about it, knows how to deliver a joke. I love Heidi Gardner. I love her. I want more of Heidi Gardner. I want more of Ego Wodum. Ego Wodum also stepped up these past couple of seasons and really started kicking ass. Her the Dionne Warwick show is great. She's become one of the strongest cast members on the show. Cecily Strong, who delivered, as far as I'm concerned, this past season, delivered the highlight of SNL. Without question, the highlight of SNL in last year, the year before last, when she did the clown that got the abortion. It is the abortion clown. It is, without question, one of the most personal, one of the most devastating, one of the most beautiful, and one of the funniest and most cutting and timely things that anybody has ever done on SNL in the history of the 47 years. It was the Weekend Update where she was Bubbles, the abortion clown, talking about a real abortion that she really had. It was unbelievable. It was brilliant. And it was one of the best things I've ever seen on SNL. And Cecily Strong, who took time off this past season to star in Lily Tomlin's Search for Intelligent Life. She did a one-woman show. She did a couple of other things, but she's back for next season. Cecily Strong. I also think that Sarah Sherman, as the one of the brand new cast members, made the best impression of any of the very new featured players this season. Sarah Sherman worked in Chicago. Sarah Squirm. Her Weekend Update stuff where she rips apart Colin Jost are fucking hilarious. Her character work was unique and funny. She was the girl with the singing meatballs all over her body this season. Sarah Sherman, from Chicago, not originally, but spent a good time. I'll say she's from Chicago. Sarah Sherman, best new cast member of the season, without question. Of the other cast members, Aristotle Atari hasn't really done much. Maybe they'll give him more of a chance. Andrew Dismukes, not a big fan. He's Kyle Mooney light. James Austin Johnson, he's Daryl Hammond. I mean, I don't think the guy's great. He does amazing impressions here and there. His Trump is amazing. I don't think he's particularly strong. He's like this generation's Daryl Hammond, only not quite as good as Daryl Hammond. Punky Johnson, I love her stand-up. She's not getting a lot of chance. Hopefully now she'll get more stuff to do. And Sarah Sherman. Mikey Day, I like Mikey Day. There are times when I find him annoying, and sometimes there's too much of him on a show. He's a guy who's overused. Take a break. Colin Jost, obviously, he's great on Weekend Update. Moffat, Alex Moffat. I like Alex Moffat. I think he's strong, but he's another guy who gets repetitive, like Mikey Day, with the same kind of characters. Chris Redd, fantastic. I think he's terrific. I think he does great work, and I want to see more of him. Bowen Yang, don't get it. Don't get it at all. And the characters that he and Aidy Bryant did, the who's hot, what's trending, what isn't, not funny. I've never laughed at Bowen Yang, ever. Looks like he might be funny in the new Billy Eichner movie, Bros. That looks hilarious. But I've never liked Bowen Yang. He was a writer on the show for many years, and they pushed him up to cast member. He was nominated for an Emmy, inexplicably, in my opinion. A lot of people really love the iceberg thing, the Titanic iceberg thing he did last season. I don't think Bowen Yang is funny. I think he's one note. He does the same thing over and over and over again. So the cast, we lost 4. Don't replace them, Lauren. Get rid of those don't destroy We Want to Be Lonely Island Jagoffs. Bump up some of the other people. More Chloe Feynman, more Heidi Gardner, more Ego Wodum, more Cecily Strong, and more Sarah. Basically, more of the women, because the women are the strongest part of the show. Sarah Sherman is great. All the women who are left on the show are great. Give them more stuff to do. So, Aidy Bryant, and Pete Davidson, Kyle Mooney, Kate McKinnon, farewell. And maybe Michael Che is going to go. I think he is. Maybe Keenan's going to go, and maybe Melissa Viasenor is going to go. I hope Melissa stays. I think Keenan, the guy's, he's comedy gold. Whenever you add Keenan to a sketch, it makes it better. So I hope he stays. But listen, after all the years he's been on, he can move on. But Melissa, don't leave Melissa Viasenor. Give her more work. Basically, Lauren, my message is get rid of those 3 jagoffs who think they're Lonely Island and give the women of the cast even more to do because they're exceptionally funny. All right, there you go. Season 47 of SNL in the books. Goodbye to those 4 cast members. Solid season overall, and I can't wait for next season. All right? Okay. Nick, hi. Woo.